Who's that?
Daddy.
No, that's Andrew. Who's that?
Daddy.
No, that's Luke.
Daddy.
You have a new adopted son. Congratulations, Andrew and Luke. He claims both of you, so.
Daddy.
TBTL.
When you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
For heaven's sake, you're drunk. And you're being very menacing right now.
Are you seriously detaining me again? Am I being rendered?
No, you're being friendered. So just please accept our compulsory hospitality.
Okay, are we done with the business part? I wanted to start the clown portion of the meeting.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Monday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live. My name's Luke Burbank. I am your host.
Who is my daddy, and what does he do?
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above mighty Columbia, where we're looking at an absolutely gorgeous Monday, the 18th of May.
Oh, Ma, Pa, it's just beautiful.
Monday show's always big around here because, well, we've done a lot of living on Saturday and Sunday, which then requires us to tell you about all the stuff that happened to us over the weekend. By the way, we've made it to episode 4,729 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
One thing I did this weekend, I attended a UFO festival.
Louis, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. What is it?
We'll talk about that a little bit. Also, earlier today, I did something very unusual. I was very insistent about getting online for a cyber training session.
I was cyberbullied within an inch of my life last night.
Usually the kind of thing I avoid assiduously, but in this case I was desperate to take the class. So we can get into that as well. And of course, talk to this guy. He's the longest running Cobra of the show. Maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. He was at the baseball game on Sunday, catching some rays.
I'm sorry, I'm tan. I like to be tan. It just feels good.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, Luke.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of it today.
Yeah, you sound a little less than enthused.
Can I be honest with you? I'm not in a good headspace right now.
Again?
I lied to Lucy a little bit ago, and it's kind of killing me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good morning, and I knew that I was going to have to come down here to record with you. And so when I do that, I put her in the kitchen.
Going to have to? Get to.
We'll get to, of course. I have
the privilege
I have
of.
the honor to do
Thank
it.
you.
And,
that's the word I was looking for, honor.
Yeah. And so I put up with this baby gate that we have, and I closed the one door, and she spends her time in the kitchen. I was showing you some photos of her, some images from the puppy cam that we have set up in there on Friday's show. And it's fine now. Yeah. I mean, I think one thing is, I like to take her on a little walk around the block to kind of tire her out a little bit so that during this period that we're apart from each other, she'll be pretty chill. Because otherwise she gets a little antsy, a little separation anxiety. But this morning, everything was fine. Everything was good. And I was putting her in the kitchen. I was doing some work in the kitchen. And then about 10 minutes ago, it was time for me to come down here. And she was kind of sleeping under my chair. No problems. And I get up and, I woke her up a little bit on my way out the door. And she just looked at me. And I just said, I'm just going to the bathroom. I'll be back in a second.
Yes.
And I did go to the bathroom, but I knew I wasn't going to come back. I was coming down here to do the show with you, Luke.
Well, it sounds like it was a lie of omission. Because part of it was true. You were going to the bathroom. You just omitted the fact that you were also going to come down here and talk to me for an hour.
I said, I'm just going to the bathroom, and I'll be back in a minute. Like, I lied. She might be picking up on that now, or maybe in another 10 minutes, another 10 minutes after that. At some point, she's going to be like, okay, this guy's either doing a real paint job down there, or I've been lied to. And I don't know what... This is my first puppy. Like, I don't know. Well, I know it's worse. This is my first. I don't know what happens when you start lying to your dog and you lose that trust. Like, is she just not going to believe anything I say anymore? Is she going to start misbehaving? Is she going to start smoking cigarettes? Like, I don't even know what the implications of this are. You've actually had dogs in your life. Maybe you can give me some insight.
I lied to them from day one.
Yeah. Oh, really?
So that's the thing. You've got to just pick a lane.
Interesting.
Either you're going to be Yeah, the problem is you're kind of, you're sort of treading in both worlds. You're generally honest with this dog, but then occasionally, you'll be less than fully truthful. And I would just say, at this point, you've ruined the relationship. You've broken the trust. So at this point, just go full fabrication status.
I was worried that that's exactly what you're going to say. You know what this reminds me of? This is actually a real world story as opposed to, everything I told you is true.
I believe that you believe it. I believe that you believe that Lucy can tell when you're saying something in human voice that then does not actually happen and that may damage the relationship.
I'm just spoofing. I'm not really worried about it, but it was shocking that a lie just dropped out of a totally unnecessary lie dropped out of my mouth.
Right, that's actually a good point.
And that's more what bothered me. I'm like, why? She didn't ask. She was fine. I'm not actually worried about what this means for the relationship. I'm sure it's fine. I'm going to start rebuilding. I'm going to rebuild better.
Build back better.
I'm going to build back better. That worked out for everybody. So anyway, I'm not actually worried about it, but it was funny. As I said, I'll be back in a second. I'm just going to the bathroom, and I had closed the door. I'm just like, why the hell did I just lie to that dog?
That's your guilt. That's your guilt, right?
But why? Where did that come from? Like, I don't even know. Yeah.
Your guilt. That's
my guilt of leaving her, not my guilt of lying. I see. Yeah.
You were in the back of your mind, or maybe even the middle of your mind. You were like, shoot, I got to leave this dog alone for the next couple of hours. I kind of feel bad about it. So you tacked on that unnecessary little lanyap of lying. Actually, that could be a show title, lanyap of lying.
And weirdly, I know that word because
I learned it from you.
And I learned it because my friend Shay had a dog whose name was Lanyap. I'm showing you this. Really? It looks like everything's copacetic in the kitchen right now.
Lucy, I can report to the listeners that Lucy is looking about as comfortable as a dog could be, dozing in the dog bed, and does not seem to be, as of right now, suffering any negative effects from the lying.
I mean, I am zooming in, and it does seem like she's changed. It's hard to explain, but I've lived with her for about a month now.
It's imperceptible to most people, but not to you.
But I can sort of see the way she's sleeping is like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. She's going to be fine. Now, but it's just different. It's just different.
Critical question. Yeah. Does it appear that she is, as she's sleeping, is she breathing through her nose or through her mouth? What do you think? Because that's something I just learned yesterday that's radically changed my life approach.
Is this involving UFOs?
No, this is this is involving basically a lifestyle change that will, I think, radically extend not only the length that I live, but the quality of those years. The difference between breathing through my nose and breathing through my mouth. Are you up on this entire?
No. Tell me, and I'm curious. Are you talking about sleeping? Are you talking about waking? Tell me everything.
I'm talking about all of it, buddy. Okay. Sleep, waking, that period of time where you kind of fell asleep, but you're still a little bit awake.
Yeah.
All possible circadian states are affected, it would appear, by if we're breathing through our nose or breathing through our mouth. Yesterday, I was on my way from Becca's over to my sister Sarah and my brother-in-law Josh's. We were having a family get-together at their place, kind of in celebration, I guess, of my birthday, also of Mother's Day, a little belatedly for my mom. An early birthday thing for my sister Sarah. That's what happens in my family when there's a get-together. There's so many people and special days that have gone maybe not properly acknowledged that it becomes usually a bit of a grab bag of things. But I was on my way over
Actually,
there.
Can I ask you a quick question about that for real? I hope it's interesting. But so you're a big family of a lot of people, like you said. You're kind of belatedly celebrating a couple of different things and early celebrating a thing. So are there moments during these get-togethers where those events are acknowledged, or do you just sort of tag it on there when you say, hey, let's get together because we haven't really done anything for Mother's Day or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, is there a moment where somebody had to, I don't know, bring out a cake for you or maybe your sister, or something was sort of acknowledged about Mother's Day to your mom?
Well, the way that it happened, first of all, there was a big kind of happy birthday sign that my sister Sarah had put up. So I'm, not to brag, but I think my birthday was probably, let's just call it first on the call sheet.
Okay, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
above the fold.
Event. Sure, yeah.
I would say it was the main event, which I didn't need it to be at all. I've been very, very properly celebrated and commemorated. And I don't know if I even told you on Friday, but Thursday night at Livewire, Elena jumped out of a cake.
Oh, my goodness.
My friend and co-host and announcer on Livewire This was all a complete surprise to me. I did not realize during sound check that there was a gigantic pretend cake that could have a human being inside it, that when I came out on stage and I introduced Elena, as I often do after I've done a little spiel, they wheeled a cake down and she popped out of the cake with two pom-poms and led this big birthday cheer for me. They passed out birthday cupcakes to everyone. It was a big sort of event on Thursday night. So
can I ask a delicate question about that?
Why didn't you do something like that for me on TBTL? Yes, we've all been asking ourselves.
I'm
that
still
question.
working on it. I didn't want to.
You're doing it on 51 when I
seemed a little
least
lame
expected.
to do it, a little on the nose, as you would say, to do it right on your birthday.
Yeah.
Now, my only experience with seeing somebody pop out of a cake was from the movie Under Siege, and I think a lot of young
not the movie I was expecting.
young
Maybe
straight
a
men.
JFK documentary.
Wait, do you not know why I'm bringing this up? Because I do feel like a lot of men my age who were boys at the time remember that as a kind of quintessential who became werewolves in this exact moment, because there's a very famous scene where that's Van Damme, I want to say.
No, Steven Seagal.
Seagal. I get all those guys confused. Anyway, he's aboard some sort of a military ship, and there is a scene where there is a woman who's supposed to jump out of a cake to surprise a bunch of military officers or whatever, but I think some act of terrorism or something has happened that everybody is hiding or dead, and it's all abandoned now, and he's going around trying to like kind of he's a cook. He's a badass cook, you know.
He's a cook with incredible martial arts skills.
And and then she doesn't know that there's a woman inside the cake, and she doesn't know that the party has basically been canceled by terrorism. By the way, canceled by terrorism could also be the name of the Tom Clancy knockoff that I'm writing. But anyway, so she jumps out of the cake anyway and does this apparently with her eyes closed, because she doesn't realize that the entire room is darkened and there's nobody. She doesn't have an audience. Her perception of sound, like you would think that if she's a professional dancer, she'd be used to hearing hoots and hollers at this moment, but she does not stop dancing despite the fact that there's no sound at all when she jumps out of the cake. But importantly here, she is not fully clothed when she jumps out of the cake. And what I want to ask very delicately is, I am assuming that the Livewire version of this was more PG than, say, R-rated. There was not.
I would say G. Even.
This was not an Under Siege situation, because that
Absolutely
would be
not.
so uncomfortable. That would be so uncomfortable.
I mean, not to mention a huge HR violation.
That's exactly why I bring it up.
As a workplace environment, as I do. Which is why I bring so much fun to the show. I say, welcome to the workplace environment, everyone.
I know, and it really fires me up to act glum at the beginning of the show. I'm kind of surprised
I meant
that
at Livewire.
Oh, at Livewire too.
I welcome everyone to the workplace environment.
You say that to the audience. No, I'm kind of surprised that that's not a kind of cultural touchstone for you, being that we're the same age. Like, I feel like if I say, hey, Kevin, what do you remember from Under Siege? Like, he wouldn't even have to say words. We would just look at each other and be like, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was doing some Googling while you were talking about this, and it's definitely one of the big things that comes up when the movie Under Siege is Googled, because you're probably right. It was probably a kind of a mind-blowing moment for a bunch of people of a certain age watching the movie. Here's, not to get off track, but the reason I don't have a lot of knowledge about Under Siege from the having watched it perspective is because I was never, even in my, tween and teen years, I never liked watching action movies that were bad for the sake of watching them. So, for instance, I loved the movie Die Hard because I thought it was a high quality film.
It is.
You know what I mean? My actual knowledge of a lot of those, like all of that Van Damme stuff that Camaro just knows chapter and verse on, all the Seagal stuff, I only know about it in the sense that, like, everyone my age was talking about the latest Steven Seagal movie, whether it was Under Siege or On Deadly Ground, or where I believe he plays a, let's just say, alleged Native American who is defending his maybe ancestral home against whoever it is. All that is to say, I didn't ever watch any of these movies because even as a 10-year-old, and I don't mean this to sound hoity-toity, I could never, even when I was young, kind of like enjoy a movie that was so bad that it was good. I just could never get into that.
I'll be honest with you. As you say that, I don't think so. There were some movies. I was looking to see what year this came out. 90.
You had a
This
bootleg
came out
of
in
Only the
92.
Cake Scene.
Of Only the Cake, exactly. No, I had a videotape that just got, for some reason, it got scrambled around that time. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, here's the deal. I'm trying to figure out why I would have rented it too. I think, so the movie came out in 92, so I'm thinking it's probably like 1994 or something like that. I'm now at an age where I am just
Freshman? You're a freshman, probably?
No, in 94, I'd probably be a junior. I graduated in 95. So
I thought you said the movie came out in 92.
The movie came out in 92, so I'm saying I probably rented it in around 94. I'm probably at an age now where I'm just renting things, and I don't really, and it's before the time that I'm thinking about movies / films. You know what I mean? I don't think at this point I know directors at all. That might not be entirely true. Like, I think Tarantino, again, for a lot of people of our generation, might have started to change that and get us to think about, like, who directed this? And you start following directors. But I just remember there being, as somebody who grew up in a very strict household where, like, every movie was rented by the parents, with the parents
for the parents,
by the parents for the parents, yeah, but like with their consent and their overseeing it, because we were not allowed to see, we weren't allowed to see anything as young kids that other kids were allowed to see, like police academy movies, anything that was a little bit fresh, as you would say in your family, like no way, Jose. And then I got to an age where, you know, in some ways, my parents' divorce really opened up the world for me, because it wasn't like I was just set free, but there was just less attention to be paid as to whether or not I'm renting
lot of other
Under
things
Siege.
going on that was probably taking up the adults' time and energy.
And at this point, I think I'm living with my dad in Lakewood, Ohio. We're living together, and he's he's dating again. I'm like just going to the. I'm old enough to be going to the store and just renting tapes and bringing them home, without having to talk about what I'm renting. Now, I'll be honest with you, I do not think Under Siege, I don't think I had heard anything about it. I don't think I was like, oh, this is one where I might be able to see nudity, because what you've mentioned this on the show before without sounding like a sleazeball, but we were pubescent boys. Like you would say, like, oh, you rent, don't tell mom the babysitter's dead, because Christina Applegate is in it, and in the commercial you see that she's wearing a towel or in the bathtub at some point, so you're thinking, oh wow, might I see something that I have never seen before? And so
you rent Blue Ribbon Babes.
Ooh, I don't know that.
Because you don't know any of the names of any of the people in the movie, but they definitely seem like they're getting naked. Or how about Cosmic Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama? I think it was one
I don't know
rented.
either of those. I knew Babe Pig in the City. I don't know. That was
one,
less racy.
That pig is nude the entire film.
and nobody talks about it. But anyway, so I think I rented Under Siege not in any kind of like, with any kind of hornball instincts, because it's a very small part of the movie. I think I was just like, oh, well, I didn't, I was probably maybe starting to watch Rambo and stuff like that. And the first Rambo, aka First Blood, was actually a good movie. But I'm not discerning at any point at this point in my life. I'm just sort of like, I'm like Lucy out for a walk, just sniffing everything I can, trying to figure out the world
Mapping
around
your
me.
world.
Right? I'm mapping my world, and so I think I rented Under Siege because it just seemed like, I don't know, this is what kids rent, this is what cool guys rent. Under Siege, sure. Like I still, like I even said, I didn't even know if it was Seagal or the other guy. I'm such not an action guy, and that's why I think when I was watching that movie and that scene happened. And that's what happens. That's what scenes do. They happen. I think I lost my goddamn mind, because I was like, what is happening? It might have been, could that have been the first real, no, it probably wasn't the first nudity I saw in a movie, but like, it was very rare. And I was just like, what? And then I grow up to be, here in 2026, and I realize that, like, I think a lot of people my age had that same experience.
And also I can imagine you, and again, I'm just completely inventing this in my mind, but it's maybe you're at home and you're watching this. Your dad is maybe
out and about,
doing something,
probably at Winterhurst Ice Rink on a date,
and you're like in your living room or in the TV room or in the basement, wherever you are, and you're like seeing nudity on your home television environment,
and
your
I'm just
mind
like,
is
how is this happening? How is this happening right now? Yes. So anyway,
so back to my family birthday party.
Yes.
Welcome,
new listeners. I'm gross.
I had plenty of birthday celebrating, but this also was yet another little event where my family was super sweet. And the way that it's acknowledged, Andrew, of the different elements, the different things that are being kind of I guess, honored, if you will, at this part. Celebrate is a better word for it. Is just like, the present portion. So I got some really nice, super sweet presents, which I was really appreciative of. And then I think my sister Sarah got an early birthday present. And I think there was one Mother's Day present for my mom, because a lot of us got her flowers. In fact, my mom had multiple bouquets of flowers that arrived at their house on Mother's Day. I think I might have told you this too, that the craziest thing happened. I did tell you this. I sent her flowers and they went to the wrong Susan. Which also sounds like a movie with maybe Diane Keaton that could have come out in the 80s. The wrong Susan.
It's kind of funny, but it's mostly it's like a romance.
So as I'm sitting in my car on my way over to this event, I am listening to OPB, Oregon Public Broadcasting, and I'm listening to the TED Radio Hour, and they're interviewing a guy who's a sort of an expert on the topic of breath and breathing through your mouth versus breathing through your nose. And he is making these very, very compelling arguments about, and there appears to be a fair amount of science to back this up, that if you breathe through your mouth a lot, what it ends up doing is you breathing down into your lungs, but it's kind of in the upper portion of your lungs, as opposed to your lower lungs, which is almost kind of down near your belly. Whereas if you breathe through your nose, it's kind of more down. You feel your belly, you sort of distend a little bit as the oxygen goes into your lower lungs. And according to this guy, your lower lungs, that's better at distributing oxygen, I guess, ultimately into your blood supply.
Okay.
So if we're imagine you're kind of sitting in a desk chair working all day, and you're breathing through your mouth and you're a little hunched over, so your posture is maybe not the greatest. You're really constricting what's happening in the breathing department. And what that means is you're breathing into your upper lungs. It's not getting distributed as effectively. And so you're having to breathe more and take more breaths, as opposed to a longer, more productive breath through your nose. And that kind of fills your sort of lower lungs, and then you sort of let it out. And if you do this, and he is talking about this as I'm sitting in traffic on I-84.
And you're doing it, right? The way we're
doing
all
this
doing
breathing
it now.
exercise. Yeah, and by the way, I'm sorry, you're getting a very, very sort of uninformed version of this directed breath exercise. I'm just remembering what he said yesterday, but I'm doing the breath exercise, and it's absolutely incredible. I just feel and a big thing that this guy's talking about is a lot of the anxiety that we carry around. His opinion on the matter is that a lot of it is because we're just not fully oxygenated or properly oxygenated, and we don't even realize it, and that if we can kind of do this one simple thing of remembering to try to breathe through our nose versus breathe through our mouth, we'll just be getting more oxygen. Our heart rate will be more, it'll be more optimal. Although this was another thing he talked about was, believe it or not, according to this guy, what you don't want to have, Andrew, is a perfectly steady heartbeat or heart rate. It actually needs to have some variation in it for reasons. So when you're breathing in, when you're inhaling, your heart rate is actually increased. Your heart is beating more quickly as you're intaking this oxygen. And then as you're exhaling it, your heart rate is slowing. And there's something about that dynamism in heart rate that's actually very healthy. And he said, if the doctors see that you have a perfectly predictable flat heart rate, or not flat, but perfectly repetitive, or whatever you want to call it, that's actually a sign of potentially disease and other things, which I was like, oh man, I've been hoping that my heart rate would be consistent and totally unchanging. I thought that was the mark of health. But so I'm off of the freeway. Now I'm on the surface street. I'm heading to my sister's, and I just do this thing that is I feel so kind of an example of how I both live in the low and the high of life. I'm listening to this, what I find to be very compelling argument around about nose breathing versus mouth breathing. And I'm doing it in the car, and I'm feeling the effects already. And I'm thinking, he's talking about snoring and how he was not a snorer, but he did this experiment where for 10 days he only breathed through his mouth. And within a day, he had developed kind of a snoring problem because of the mouth breathing versus the nose breathing for him. And now I'm listening to all this, and I'm sitting at a stoplight, and what am I doing? I'm on Amazon on my phone buying mouth tape to have it delivered to my house.
To wear during the day to train yourself.
Well, to wear maybe all the time, other than when I'm hosting the show with you. I don't know.
Or,
daytime,
hey, don't rule it out.
Nighttime. Listen, the listeners have made their request known, and I get it. I hear you. But like, so this is what happens to me. I go from spending a zero amount of my time thinking about nose breathing versus mouth breathing to realizing at this stoplight on Gleason in Portland that if I don't get mouth tape at my house Sunday night, it's curtains for your boy.
Yeah, you're going to die of a steady heartbeat.
I will die of a steady heartbeat. My relationship will implode because of my continued snoring, which is because I'm breathing through my mouth and not through my nose. So I order this mouth tape to have it delivered Sunday night. So have it delivered within hours of when I have this feeling that's, and I'm not proud of that. I mean, as we've talked at length on this show, I don't think making those kinds of orders from Amazon is making the world a better place. It's sort of like it's blunting an anxiety that I'm having or a feeling that I'm having in that moment of like, I have to get this mouth breathing under control. Mm-hmm. Again, something that had not even occurred to me as a thing 12 minutes previous. And this is the part you're going to love, Andrew. I get home after the events. And again, shout out to my incredible family for all of the sweet, just celebration of me. It was really fun on Sunday. But I get home. And by the way, my mom and dad are staying here last night because it's the jump off point to the timeshare in Seaside, Oregon.
Oh.
So I get home. My parents are here. We're hanging out, having a nice time. I get the Amazon delivery. I get my tape and everything, and I put it on the nightstand. I'm all excited. It's time to go to bed, and I open the box of mouth tape, and I realize it's not mouth tape. It's some other kind of. I don't even know what the purpose of it is. It's some kind of medical tape that's maybe for
kidnapping tape. Is it like, because I think I've seen this in Under Siege as well, where they put this kind of tape over people's mouths and then they tie up their
It would probably
wrists.
work pretty well for that. I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. It's something called Monier Comfort Tape. Now, what happened was it says pain-free removal, hypoallergenic, latex-free, and gentle on skin. Packaging may vary. Skin-friendly, adhesive, cotton tape. Now, what had happened, Andrew, was because I was at a stoplight on my telephone, I had gone on to Amazon.com looking for mouth tape, and then pretty quickly it must have just gotten to something that was in the like one neighborhood over, like some kind of medical tape that you can use for something. Maybe it's covering a wound, maybe it's covering a Band-Aid that's over a wound. What it's not is marketed as the thing you're supposed to put over your lips and then go to sleep, right?
Yeah, which they actually sell and market. I know we've talked about that before, I think.
Yes, and which Becca reminded me she had purchased for me at some point,
really?
A year or two ago.
Man, that's a ballsy gift for your partner. Hey, I got you a gift.
Sends a message.
It's tape.
Sends a message.
You put over your mouth. Yes. I would like you to wear it at our next date.
And put more of it on for the after date.
Yeah, just
so like, I'm all excited because I have built up in my mind all afternoon since about 12:50 p.m. when I heard that I need to start using mouth tape now to extend life and increase my quality of life. All day in the back of my mind has been like, I'm going to get the night of sleep of a lifetime tonight. I'm going to put my mouth tape on. I'm going to get all cozy. It's going to be incredible. I bought an eye mask too, because that's another thing. I never pull the curtains down in my room because I like the morning light, but this time of year it actually gets like really early and really bright, particularly on the weekends. So like I've got this whole thing going in my mind about this experience I'm going to have. And so I realized this isn't mouth tape, but then I'm like, yeah, but could I just use it as mouth tape? So I literally put it over my mouth. And then I'm looking at the box. And the box of Monier Comfort Tape says somewhere on it, and when I say box, I mean bag. It was kind of one of those little plastic bags that has a resealable top on it. Mm-hmm. And it says something to the effect of, do not use this tape for anything other than what it is indicated for. And I'm like, and then I flash through all these scenarios where it's like, me in the middle of the night waking up, like suffocating, unable to pull the tape off my mouth because that's not what it's designed for. Like, should I be taping my mouth closed with tape that's not specifically indicated for this use? And so I take the mouth tape off and I go to sleep without the mouth tape, but I spend the whole night trying to, and I must have woken up, Andrew, It feels like I woke up 15 times reminding myself to breathe through my nose. I had one of the more fitful nights of sleep I've had in memory because in my brain was lodged this idea that I have to nose breathe now when I sleep.
Well, I do sort of like it. I want to be, listen, I think mindful breathing, talking about the waking hours here.
Yeah.
It's a great Mike and the Mechanics song, by the way.
Yeah.
In the waking hours, I
a little
just think
paranoid.
It is. I'm very not mindful about, well, maybe not about a lot of things. I think I've gotten a little bit more mindful, but like about health stuff and about little stuff like that. And when you're talking about, you're listening to this TED talk about breathing, and I know that you're starting to do the breathing while you're listening to it, then you're telling me on the podcast about this, and then I start doing it, and I know all of our listeners start doing it as well. There's something about when you hear people talking about breathing, you kind of do it, and it feels so good, doesn't it? When you said, hey, breathe deeply through your nose, I just took a minute and I did that. Like, why don't I do this all the time? It was just like, it's a very, very good feeling. So I applaud that. I think it's good. I think that I was going to look up, can you use comfort tape, which I've never even heard of comfort tape before, over your mouth. I'm sure you can. You could also just take the whole package and ball it up and just shove the ball of tape right in your mouth. That might serve the same purpose. But
everything comes back to kidnapping and hostage type situations with you today. What's going on?
Oh, well, you could also think of that as a boxes, mail, stamps, delivery kind of situation, I guess, too.
Sure,
Maybe,
sure.
I mean, depending on where you want to take it. I almost wonder if that's what the tape meant. This is crazy, but when you read on the package, do not use this for anything other than its intended purpose. Well,
can I mention, is vague.
I was going to say,
I still don't know what its intended purpose is.
The intended purpose could just be for the human body. In other words, don't use this as packaging tape if you're returning something to Amazon.com.
It wouldn't work well for that because it's hypoallergenic and designed to be removed without a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It also probably doesn't have some good stickum properties like you would need for, and also, what a weird world that you'd be using it for that. But that could be what they're trying to clarify. I'm sure I would have been fine, but there was the two things. One, I did think, wouldn't this be, what a way to go? He died as he lived, misusing something from Amazon.
Right.
And then the second thing was because the tape would have been larger. It was larger than the outline of my mouth, if that makes any sense. I actually have a photo of this I could send you, Andrew, if you want something for your boxes delivery stamps.
No.
Boxes file. But my worry was, is this going to give me a weird rash around the outline of my mouth when I am going to Los Angeles later today to film tomorrow? And I really went through this whole thought process, which was like, let's imagine that this is designed. You put this over an injury you have, let's say on your ankle or your calf or somewhere on your body that's less visible. Does this company, have they put in the work, the research, the R&D to make it so that whatever the glue is not going to give me some kind of a mark, some kind of a red, ring? Because I thought, what a place for me to have it. For me to wake up and take this off Monday morning and realize, oh no, I look like Bozo the Clown or something.
You've never seen
crazy,
the movie
and also
Love
exactly
Liza.
Something I would do.
Have you seen the movie Love
no.
Liza? It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he plays one of his it's one of his most. I mean, this is saying something. It's one of his most depraved roles, and he plays somebody who huffs. And I remember airplane fuel or something. I've only seen it once.
Glue,
when it was really,
they call it.
And I have this vague memory of him having this redness around his mouth because he's addicted to this terrible, terrible thing. Just even thinking about it makes me so upset.
That's kind of what I was picturing maybe looking like this morning. And the other thing is, I was sleeping alone, so it wasn't even, part of it was, I was like, well, if I can get this mouth tape situation dialed in, and if I can start breathing through my nose, and if I can eliminate my snoring, then that will be less distracting for Becca. It will make it so that she can have a more restful night of sleeping in the same room as me. But this wasn't one of those nights. In other words, there was not, other than the fact that I had created this little scenario in my mind of what my nighttime was going to be like.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was no reason I needed to push it with the tape that may or may not be mouth tape. And honestly, on some level, it's growth for me that I took it off because I get
push through.
Because I get so obsessed with having this moment that I've been planning on and thinking about, and in a weird way, I will say fantasizing about, that I will. I mean, I literally thought, I know I have some real mouth tape around here somewhere because I remember wearing it a different time, like a year ago. I can just go wander around the bathroom, the 2 bathrooms in this house. Maybe it's in the basement. I could go to the basement and look. It was like, I was like, could I Amazon something here in the next hour? Could I stay up and work on travel expenses and concur? Like this is like lunacy, but this is what my brain does when I have created an expectation for myself around it. I'm very loath to give up on that plan.
You sound like me looking for booze.
Well, listen,
just sniffing around. No, I'm just joking. But hey, listen, I've been clicking around over here. Did you actually say that this was Monier brand? Monier.
Monier.
See,
yes.
You know what, Luke? I could be wrong about this, but remember when you said that it was a little bit vague about what it's supposed to be used for? I think it is actually sold for this. Now I am on their actual website, but it doesn't say that specifically. But here's
the bag does not say explicitly like it's mouth tape or use it for this. Like they're weirdly vague about it.
Can I tell you that I am on a YouTube video by somebody who reviews products, and her name is, or at least her handle on YouTube is, "Oh, hello, Mel."
Nice.
And I kind of like that. At first I thought it said, "Oh, hello, me," which I thought was interesting. Anyway, and the title of the video, and this is just from last month, actually, "Mouth Tape for Snoring, ? Monier Comfort Tape, or Monier Comfort Tape Review. Stops dry mouth and bad breath, pain-free removal." She's holding up, the reviewer is, this bag, and it's exactly as you described it, with the seal on top. It's got to be, it's a black and blue and white bag, I believe, right? And here's her description. Again, this is not the company. This is this reviewer's. "Struggling with snoring, dry mouth, or bad breath when you wake up? I tested the Monier Comfort Tape 30-pack as a mouth tape for sleep to see if it actually helps improve breathing and sleep quality." And then anyway, it goes on. "The hypoallergenic latex-free adhesive tape is gentle on skin and designed for pain-free removal." So anyway, I do think that maybe the reason they don't say specifically to use this on the mouth is maybe to keep themselves out of some sort of
it seems like
trouble.
a legal kind of a legal thing. Like we can't officially call this mouth tape because of what people might do.
Yeah, imagine somebody having some issue and suffocating. But I think the irony of this whole thing is I think you bought exactly what you wanted to buy.
I think you're probably right. And yet I do kind of blame them and their overly cautious lawyers for sending me a bag of mouth tape, but doing everything to not call it that.
They're calling
so
it
that
comfort
I then
tape, yeah.
So then I started spiraling because, like, let's be honest, it's discomfort tape. It's not more comfortable to have your mouth taped shut. Like, is anyone going like, "God, I can't sleep. Why is that?" Because I have too much movement with my mouth. Let me tape that down. Oh, that's comfort. That's where the comfort is.
Well, I guess if you've had uncomfortable tape, this is comforting. Like, I guess that's what they're trying to separate themselves from. Like, it's not gaffer's tape, you know?
Right. Yeah. Or even Gaffigan tape, which is what happens every week when I turn on Sunday morning and Jim Gaffigan has stolen another commentary slot for me. But all that is to say, I had a wonderful weekend, and I'm going to try to really focus on my nose breathing, and I do now. I'm the proud owner of 29 more pieces of Monier sleep tape. So I guess I can give it a try tonight when I'm in Los Angeles.
I still think your instinct, though, to maybe not start this new thing until you have a day or two of not being in front of cameras. I don't know if that exists anymore, but I just want to give you one more update on this. So I'm on Monier's website now, and again, everything is very vague about it. They have stuff like skin care masks and stuff, and some topical patches. But then they have a category called sleep. And comfort tape is the first thing listed under the sleep column. So I know that we're already there, but more evidence that this is exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, and again, the irony is that it's the one time that I don't know if caution would be the right word, but the one time where I kind of thought like, let's not risk this, because I was all ready to. Like I was,
I'm surprised you didn't Google it.
Yeah, that would have also been. I don't know. That would have also probably. Well, again, because this is the kind of thing that I do so often, Andrew, which is to say, act impulsively, get slightly the wrong thing because I acted impulsively because I was sitting at a stoplight on Gleason. That I think what happened is once my mind started to consider the idea that I had just purchased the wrong thing,
Yeah.
That's just kind of where my mind stopped.
Yeah.
Because I went into it like, oh, Luke, you did that again. You did that thing again that you do where you like you have a feeling that, oh my gosh, I got to start breathing through my nose, and then you try to do something like very kind of haphazardly and very impulsively.
Impulsively, yeah.
And then in being impulsive, you then did the wrong thing because you acted impulsively, and now you have 30, or in this case 29 of these comfort patches that you just have to figure out some use for because you messed this up. And I think in that process, it didn't even occur to me to Google it and go like, is there something about this I'm not understanding? I also sent you an email, Andrew.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, be curious if this
oh, no.
checks
Is
out.
this the photo that I didn't want to see?
No,
okay.
Of course not.
Of course, no. You would never do that. Weirdly, it's taking forever to load. I think, like, it did open. Is it a really big photo? It's not.
Was it caught by some sort of
spam filter or
online safety protocol to keep people from receiving upsetting pictures of their coworkers? Because that would never apply to this photo.
It is weird. It won't quite load. It's now.
Maybe that's telling you something.
It's showing me the little symbol that it says. You can tell it's a JPEG. It says the file name IMG.
Do I look like I know how to get a damn JPEG?
I don't know why it's not loading. Oh no! Shoot, it's loading. Okay, sleep mask. Oh God, yeah, that's awful. We're not using that as a show.
It definitely looks, because the sleep mask is fully
oh God,
blacked out.
my modem is on fire. Why is my modem smoking? What is going? Oh no!
This looks like something you would see in like a David Fincher film. But I did it to myself.
Yes.
That's the crazy part. Anyway, I also went to UFO Festival this weekend, Andrew, which was very fun. Saw a couple of 10s there. Which was really cool. I heard you ran into a 10 in the wild this weekend also.
How did you hear about that? Did Dan reach out to you?
And were you or were you not? Was Dan being funny, or were you not eating a sausage when Dan happened upon you?
I had just purchased a sausage. It was true. And
Very on brand.
I felt a little, I thought about my interaction with Dan later. Can you tell me what Dan told you? Because I am not proud of, I'm not proud of exactly how I said hello to Dan at first, and I don't know if I came off as rude. I think I did come off as rude, and then I think he forgave me for that, and then we had a really nice conversation with this kiddo. But I was at the ball game, and I had just bought. This is a true story, and I don't know how this is happening, but the Mariners love talking about all the fancy foods you can get at the ballpark. But in the past few years, their hot dogs are terrible. And I don't even mind, they're big. I like the big hot dogs. You and I have different tastes in that. But, the hot dogs, even if you get them at the beginning of the game, they feel like they've been under the burners for hours and hours. Like, the last one I got had, a weird suntan on one side of it that was putrid looking. I was...
Yakers.
Yes, and you know me, I love hot dogs. I'm like, how are these guys, burning them, then making them cold, then charging me $14 for one? And it's a hot dog. How can you not do hot dogs well? That's all. It's the easiest assignment.
Lay off with the Moto pizza and the cricket nachos.
Just right. Thank you.
GD hot dog.
Just get your hot dog. It's really disappointing.
Get your hot dog house in order.
That's right.
My friend.
Don't miss the Sausage Fest.
So anyway, I was there at the game yesterday with a group of friends. It was Croatian Heritage Day, Luke, as you know, at the ballpark. It was a really, aside from the game itself, which was just awful. It's just an abortion of a series for us. I'm so mad at the Mariners right now. Having said that, couldn't have asked for a better day at the ballpark. It was beautiful outside. The weather was nice. Great group of people I was there with. And we were talking, though, about how the hot dogs suck recently. And I was getting hungry. And then I was like, you know what I'll get is something that is shaped like a hot dog, but not a hot dog. And I went to the Hempler's stand. It was a very long line, but it was worth it.
Was it better?
It was way better, because it wasn't one of the Mariners concessions. It was a private concession. You know what I mean? It's like Hempler's / Bavarian or whatever. So I think maybe the restaurants that are there serving their own food, I think maybe have a little bit more pride in it or something. So the sausage was good. But it's pretty big, and I'm carrying it in a little cardboard boat. It's pretty long. It's on a bun. It's got because you care. It's got onions on it. It's got grilled onions. It's got a heaping mound of sauerkraut on it, which I like sauerkraut, but I always think they put too much on. I don't know why they're overdoing it with that. And then I dribbled some mustard on top of it, and I'm carrying it back, and I'm already thinking this is I'm already I'll be honest with you. I don't even want to talk about it, but I'll be honest with you. You know I have some issues with eating. You know that at one point in my life somebody said, you're eating a hot dog for lunch, that's why you're so fat, and that like really, I just have a lot of eating issues. And so I'm already thinking, God, I'm going to take this big-ass looking sausage back to the seats with me. I'm going to eat it in front of my friends. Somebody is going to say, look at that giant sausage. And in their defense, nobody did do that, but I was already in my head about that a little bit. And then somebody stopped me and said, I can't remember what Dan said, but Dan just came up to me and said something to me. And I looked and I think I said something really terrible, which is, do I know you? Which is such a terrible way of greeting somebody. But I was just so confused, and I think I was already feeling food shame, which I know is not a healthy thing. And I said that, and he's like, oh yeah, and and then he introduced himself. And I was like, oh, okay, and it was great to know him, and you've mentioned Dan on the show before, and so I sort of felt like I had known him. But I've been really beating myself up over how I greeted him when I first saw him. So I was going to give a little apology for being a little bit curt with you when you said hello, Dan. It was really wonderful to meet you guys, and I hope the running around the bases after the ball game went well, which is what his kiddo was doing.
This is what Dan texted me. He said, because I've known Dan for years and years. He said, hey, I just ran into Andrew at the M's game. I might have startled him when I grabbed him on the shoulder and asked him if it's too early to get a fish sandwich.
Is it too early to fish sandwich? But the thing is, if he had said fish sandwich first, I don't think I would have said, do I know you? Because I would have known that he was a 10.
Yeah.
So I think I might have said that before the fish sandwich thing. I hope. Either way.
Is it possible you just mutter that at random people in the stadium?
Do I know you?
Do I know you?
Oh, and also I was pissed off because while I was waiting in line, like the Padres just tacked on like three more runs, and it was just like.
So I know the exact inning when you were getting the sausage.
Yeah, it was like 6.
Unfortunately,
I think it was the 6.
Kirby was holding it down reasonably until that inning.
And so anyway, I just wasn't in my bed. I mean, listen, again, I'm glad Dan said hello and we had a good time, but I was kind of ashamed at my behavior in the very beginning of the moment.
I'll give you the full, and I think Dan would be okay with this. I'll give you the full little sort of text chat. He said, hey, I ran into Andrew, Mariners game, fish sandwich, and then he did a laughy emoji. And I said, hopefully he was with some people who were very impressed that he has fans. And he says, unfortunately, he was all alone holding his Polish sausage.
True story.
And then I said, sounds typical. And then he said, I honestly couldn't imagine a better way to meet the guy for the first time. So there you go,
Good.
Dan. I don't think Dan was taking away any of the part of the experience that you were like worried, kind of like you had created or whatever. Like I think Dan had a very nice time meeting you and said it was the perfect way to meet you. So.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, Dan, because I really did. And there was a couple, and this is not on him at all. It's totally on me. But there was a couple of times later that night where I'd do that little,
oh man,
Andrew, can you just be a human for once in your life? I'm having to, I don't want to, we have so much to talk about, but I am learning. I'm trying to learn how to talk to people when I'm walking the dog now. And I'm not talking about people who want to say, oh, hey, what a cute dog. Can I pet her or whatever? That's going to happen from time to time. Genevieve and I, some totally drunk dude just tapped on our window as we were pulling away from puppy school. It was like, can I say hello to your dog? And we're like,
wow.
All right. It was pretty funny, actually. It was pretty crazy. It's also pretty early. But anyway, for me, the thing is a little bit more like walking around the neighborhood, because now Lucy and I can pretty easily go on like a round-the-block walk, which she couldn't do like 2 weeks ago. She didn't know how to go on a walk. I'm not even joking. She was just like too distracted and everything. But when I see another person with dogs, I'm never sure, like, what is protocol? Do I say, and so today I met another neighbor, and she had 2 dogs on leashes, and one of them was very, like, kind of timid and barky, and the other one really wanted to meet Lucy, and I wasn't sure. I'm like, and I'm just always like, should we do this? I'm trying to always to communicate. I don't want those people to feel like they have to stop and entertain my dog, but I also don't want to be like aloof or cold.
Right. Is every time you and your dog pass someone else with a dog, is it an understanding that there will be an interaction?
Yes.
Or can it be the case that we're just like, hey, and keep going?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm going to figure it out. I mean, the cool thing is I'm meeting, we just go on one specific route right now, kind of near, take this road that goes directly to the cemetery that's about a block from my house, and then that's a whole, you can walk around that forever. It's, you know the cemetery, Luke, it's very big, right? But we can also just kind of go around the block, and because I've been doing that, I've been meeting a lot of people working in their yards or just on a walk and wanting to say hello or with their dogs or whatever. So it's actually been kind of cool in that way. But every time I see somebody new, and I also have to do this thing that is a little bit like a 90s safe sex video, I have to say okay, also Lucy still hasn't had her last booster shot. She'll have it on a Wednesday. So
no
just
glove,
so you
no
know.
love.
Exactly. Lucy's wearing a condom over her left eye.
Sure.
Wait, was she Left Eye Lopez because she covered her left eye, or was she Left Eye Lopez because her right eye was covered and she could only see out of her left eye?
Keep talking, and I'm going to get some visuals on this.
That's
okay?
really important. But anyway, so I don't know if you have any advice on that. I guess I just have to be a social creature and just suss out the situation and ask people if they want to say hello, and if not, be fine with that, because I am fine with that. I don't want to hold up anybody's walk if they're on a mission.
I think in my experience, by the way, Lisa Left Eye Lopez had a condom over her right eye.
So it was her left eye
in the video that you and I are both thinking of. She's wearing glasses, and then one of them, the lens appears to have been replaced with a condom.
Okay.
But it's on the right eye. So I guess the left eye was the one that she was able to see with.
That's interesting.
And as far as the protocol or the kind of the deal with when you're walking dog, I think what I came down to back when I had dogs and was walking them more was I'm kind of reading the owner, which is not a very satisfying answer. It's not a unified field theory of this. It's just kind of like you can just tell from someone's face.
Yeah.
Like I don't even it's almost like I'm not letting the dogs dictate this. I'm letting the other dog's owner's demeanor dictate what I'm doing here. And sometimes I had an experience kind of like this. I might have even talked about it on the show, but this was a few months ago, and I was kind of watching Gigi, who's like a beautiful standard poodle, all black, sweet dog. I really like her, and I was walking her around in the neighborhood down in town, and I see coming the other direction a woman who is walking a very beautiful all white.
Oh yeah.
Standard poodle.
You told me about this.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's like spy
honestly,
versus spy up in there.
But from like 2 blocks away, I'm like, okay, I'm already getting excited about this interaction.
Yeah.
Because I am like, what are the chances? They're both, exact same standard poodle. They're the same size. I also know that Gigi is the least aggressive dog I've ever experienced. There's no chance of Gigi barking, being aggressive. She just does not have that in her. So I'm not too concerned about her making a scene or anything. I am just like, we are going to tell our grandchildren someday about this. Not together. We're not going to have grandchildren together. Our respective grandchildren about the day that a beautiful, perfectly black standard poodle walked by a perfectly white standard poodle. And
they could have had gray puppies together.
That's all I was hoping for, and then we could sell them. Yeah. And this woman, I swear to God, does not even acknowledge me, the dog, her dog. And I didn't stop. Again, this is maybe my training of I'm reading the other owner, but she was just totally and completely not interested. She was the coincidence, the cosmic coincidence of this was very much lost on this other person. And I'm still talking about it to this day. But again, I didn't stop and go, holy, can you believe it? Look at these 2 dogs. I was just like, okay, I can read on this person's face that they don't have any interest in this interaction.
Yeah.
And so then we didn't interact.
Yeah, that is the answer, though. And I kind of said that as I was kind of talking about my dilemma is the answer is you have to be a human being in the world who can read other people, which is just like, sometimes I think it's just difficult for me. And especially if it's morning time and I'm not the best in the morning. That's not my best version of myself. Maybe I'm even more sort of flummoxed about things. So, yeah, but it has been, generally speaking, a positive thing. But I don't know. I think my other big hang-up about Lucy is so she's got puppy energy sometimes, so she jumps up on people in a totally playful way. And everybody's very gracious about it, but I'm trying to train her not to do that because she's going to be a very, very big dog at some point.
Yeah.
You just don't want that, right? And I'm just always... I'm so self-conscious about being a bad dog owner or having a bad dog that somebody is afraid of. And there was just one neighbor who was sort of looking at her. He didn't have a dog himself, and he was across the small street from me. And I said, "Do you want to say hello?" He was getting in his car, and he said, "Oh, okay." And I wasn't trying to push it on him. It just looked like he was interested. But then Lucy had just sort of some jumpy energy, and he seemed like, he didn't even, he was very kind of scared of her. And that made me feel really bad as somebody who grew up being scared of dogs. And so it's weird. I think Lucy's got it down. Like, when I meet people who have dogs and know dogs, are like, "Oh, yeah, this woman today said, "Oh, yeah, she's good. She's very submissive." I said, "Yeah, she gets that from me." I thought that was a pretty good joke. So I think Lucy has the right amount of puppy energy and gets a little bit wild with other dogs when it's time to play, but she's quick to roll over on her back and show them her belly and make herself small and all these things that I'm learning about. But it's more like, I almost need more training than Lucy does when it comes to that, because I don't know where the line is between dogs playing aggressively like dogs should and a dog misbehaving and getting too growly with another dog or something like that. I just want to be so conscientious, but I just need to learn what those lines are. It's like a totally different language to me, Luke.
But also, well, that's why it's okay to lie to her.
I'm learning.
Yes. But I think it's actually really good that you're highly concerned about her jumping up and doing things like that, because I was particularly, I would say, with the first dog that I had, Flea, really a lot with Flea, and maybe probably a bit with Rudy too. I was not as concerned about that as I should have been, because it didn't bother me.
Yes.
Because I was used to it, and because also, and this was really a big issue with the first dog that I had, because that dog was a boxer.
Yeah, kind of a muscular dog, right?
They're very strong dogs. They can be pretty big. She was a girl, so she was probably 60 pounds, maybe 50 pounds. So that's pretty healthy size. Yeah. And she was energetic. And the thing that I learned was, and I would do that thing where I was like, "I'm so sorry." I would apologize, and I would try to stop her, and people would come over. I would do all these steps, but we did not take her to like ahimsa or anything. There was no formal training. It was mostly just like, "Flea, stop it."
Yeah.
And what I learned was, I think from my mom, actually, so, take this with a Susie-sized grain of salt, but because my mom has I feel like my mom has an interesting relationship with dogs. She hates hearing me say that.
I know,
but
there ain't nothing like soup.
But what I remember, after I got divorced and once Flea was out of the mix, I remember my mom and I think a few other people kind of letting me know in a nice way, just being like, "Oh yeah, Flea was a lot." That was a lot when we'd go over to your house, or when Flea would come over. We'd come over with Flea, and what I learned was like everybody was like holding their breath around this dog a little bit, but couldn't tell me. Sort of like when somebody dates someone who sucks.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
And you're like, well, this is their life, and I've got to kind of I got to go along with it, and then they break up, and you're just like, "Hey, that person sucked."
Yeah.
So I got a sense that Flea was a lot for other people, and so I think it's good that you're trying to get ahead of that.
Yeah, I want to, but again, also though, I don't want to be some worry wart that gives the dog some sort of anxiety either. But honestly, I'm not building up to a classic Andrew spoof here or anything, but it's just been I'm going to be earnest for a minute. I got to let people know when I'm being earnest and not sarcastic.
Yeah.
But it's why I'm really leaning on my friends who have dogs to learn from them for real. Like Katie came over with Poppy, who I adore, yesterday, and I think that the puppies had a bit of a play date when I wasn't there, with Genevieve and Katie and the two dogs running around. But when I said hello to Katie, and Katie was saying hello to Lucy, and Lucy saw another dog, so she was really, really excited, and she was jumping up on Katie. And she's, Lucy's still got the pretty sharp nails, and so I'm trying
teeth. Does she have those kind of needle teeth?
Yeah. And so I'm just sort of always trying to get a sense of is this puppy behavior? Is this just fun puppy behavior? Or is she making you uncomfortable? Or could she potentially make you uncomfortable if you were less comfortable with dogs, And so, and people are very, and I just have really appreciated having friends like that who are able to sort of walk me through this a little bit. Because I think the instinct will kick in for me. I think that a lot of things are just
reps.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's just like going on the walk. So anyway, I'm sorry. I kind of felt like I just, I don't know what we were talking about, and I just decided to talk about my experiences with Lucy. But it was nice to meet Dan at the ballpark, I think is the point.
That's the point of all of that. So, I do think that Dan and the 10s that I ran into at the UFO Fest were they were following the rules, which is if you see us, you do have to identify yourself, lest we do something even more mortifying because we don't know that we're being observed in public.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Good call.
We was hoping for some razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle.
That's right, man, razzle-dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle.
All right, let's thank some dazzling donors. These folks are supporting TBTL financially, which is what makes this whole thing possible. 100% listener-powered podcasting here on TBTL. We don't have any big bucks coming in. We don't have any dark money.
Mm-mm.
We don't even have any dark matter.
I don't even have any light money.
No, dark money, light money, gray money,
Yeah.
None of it. We're getting money from you, the tens of listeners who voluntarily keep this thing going all these years later. And here's somebody who's been a friend of the show for many, many a year, and it's our friend Zach Jost, who's in Portland, Oregon. Zach says, okay. Curing global loneliness, a bright spot in an increasingly terrifying world, supporting the Cobros' independence. All of that is well and good, but let's get down to what really matters. Your 2026 Seattle Mariners. Zach is a baseball head, Andrew, like you and I are. I believe I ran into Zach at the Portland Pickles game.
Oh, nice.
Number of years ago. So we know that's when you're dealing with a real one.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It might have been a night off for the Mariners, and Zach was like, I got to get some baseball in my veins. I got to go to the Portland Pickles.
Mm-hmm.
The only real question I have this year, friendos, is how do we maintain composure throughout the season? God, Zach, when do we think Zach wrote this?
Yeah, well, I was going to tell you,
this dazzling donor
I don't know
message?
if you've read ahead at all, but I've been reading ahead a little bit, and I think that Zach must have written this at least 2 or 3 months ago, I would think. That's when we were collecting all of these messages.
Do you have our way back harp?
Yeah,
we have our way back harp because take me back 3 months ago or whenever Zach was writing this, and it was like there was so much hope and there was so much optimism, at least in my heart, about this team had finally picked up the last few missing pieces to put on an incredible and dominant run in the AL West. And even then the question would have remained, how do we watch this team and keep our kind of emotional equilibrium around it? Maybe even because it was so good that it was causing us to have spontaneous bouts of happiness that we couldn't control. But now, in light of where we actually are, and particularly the weekend we're coming off of, where I'm in that mode that I get into with this team where it's like I might just have to I might have to check out for a little while.
That's why I think the next couple of lines here are super interesting, because if Zach did write this, again, it's got to be at the most recent, it was 2 months ago, but it's probably like 3 or 4 months ago. The next two sentences here seem so on the money for where we are.
How do we maintain our composure throughout the season? How do we not let a losing streak mean that it's all going to end in tears?
That's where we are literally today. Tears and this losing streak that is driving me bonkers.
How do we not let a sweep of the Astros turn us into insufferably overconfident fans? Well, Zach, you have described quite accurately the actual goings-ons around this team.
Yeah. It wasn't quite a sweep, right? But damn near. Like, we've taken have we taken
all but one game from the Astros,
yeah.
so maybe out of 10 games we've taken 9 or something.
Yeah, maybe.
We won that series. Was that best of 3 in Houston recently, or best
I feel
of
like
4?
4.
Again?
I think the last one was 4, and I think we did one before that was 3, maybe.
That we swept.
Did we sweep the first one? So
yeah, we swept the first one, and then we won the first game in Houston. So we've been very dominant against our nemesis, but then we go up against teams like the Padres. We go up against good teams, and I feel like we sort of have looked bad, although we did take 2 out of 3 against the Braves, who are a good team. So it's just maddening. And Zach. What's got me down in the dumps right now is I feel like we have structural problems. Like we have structural hitting problems, and we bet on a couple of ponies that have come up pretty lame, like a Rob Refschneider comes to mind.
Right.
And we just don't have we have I feel like in years past they've been a depressing team because I don't know why seemed less depressing. Maybe just because the expectations were lower, Andrew.
Yeah,
maybe
I think so for me. Certainly.
Maybe that's what this is, because it's just like what this really has me wondering, and I'm sorry to turn this into baseball talk, but it's just like
I think Zach wants it to be.
it's Zach's dime, and we have no choice, Andrew, but to do Zach's bidding here. What this has me really wondering is if Jerry Dipoto is actually the magic man that we thought he was. Because, and again, I'm just in a really dark place right now with this team, but it's like we made some moves that were supposed to really kind of shore things up and give us, a decent lineup against lefties. Donovan appears to be injury prone. Refschneider appears to just be having a classic Mariner season, which is his slash line against lefties is 297 historically. He's hitting 112. Like, I don't know if that's the slash line. I just mean his batting average against lefties is close to 300 historically. Now, you could say, how's Dipoto supposed to know that he's going to come here and have his worst season of his life? I mean, which is fair.
But also, why does that keep happening?
Why does that keep happening? Throughout my entire adult life, Seattle has been the place where we bring players to have their historically worst season. Like Richie Sexton comes to mind, Jeff Cirillo, Adrian Beltre. Like there's a long list of players who've come here and been real bad, even though they used to be real good. What's going on with that? By the way, some of those I named predated Jerry Dipoto, but still.
Some of the injuries too. I mean, right now we have, and I was taking a little bit of inventory here. We got Refschneider, we got Connor Joe, we got Mitch Garver, we got Leo Rivas, we got
Wet Eyes,
Johnny Pareda. Like, these are not players. These are players that you can maybe play off the bench late in games if you like to match up with a pitcher. These are not people that you're supposed to be depending on. Now, it's a long season, and a lot of this is a lot of it is the injuries, but also I don't know what's going on with Cal. I don't think that Cal Raleigh's issues are purely physical. I think that it is the Cal curse that I predicted when he didn't shake Randy's hand. But
meanwhile, Randy's hitting 300, so because we can see what direction the energy moved
Randy
in that transaction.
I know, and I do kind of love that. I mean, I do love that. But all of that is to say, I mean, I want Cal to be good too, obviously. Yeah. But if one of them is going to be good, I'm glad it's Randy, the one who was snubbed. But all that is to say, yes, some of it's injury but it's also this idea of platooning players or whatever. And I know we're getting kind of deep in the weeds for people who don't care about this stuff. But those 4 or 5 players I just listed, those should not be players that you are depending on. And we are in a position here in mid-May. It's mid-May, but we're in a position in mid-May where we are depending on those players. Like, many of those will be in the lineup on the same day, and you're like, oh,
and you wonder why you lose to the San Diego. Why do you look terrible against a really good team? Well, it's because you're running a lineup up there that is absolutely not ready for primetime. Primetime, and that to me feels like bad general managing on Jerry Dipoto's part. There's just no way that, I always say this about Garver, and then of course the last time I said it, he hit a home run.
So keep saying
it. So in the game that we won, but it's like, the story, as I understand it, on Mitch Garver, he is, by the way, our backup catcher, and he's the person that we're now leaning on heavily because Cal Raleigh is injured, and also just generally speaking, if there's a lefty coming in, a pitcher, we would go to Mitch Garver because he's a right-handed bat. My understanding of the Mitch Garver situation was that in the offseason, he played so bad last year that he just kind of assumed he was done being a professional baseball player, and that there was a point, pretty far into the winter where he was not seeking or having meaningful conversations with baseball teams. And if I understand the story right, someone, I think it might have been a fellow Mariner, somebody said, well, you might as well call the Mariners and see if they want you to come to camp. Do I have any of this right? Have you seen any of this same story?
You had mentioned this glancingly at one point, and that's all I know about it. I know that during spring training, the Mariners had a decision to make on backup catcher, and I'm not going to try to Google it now because I think it'll derail us, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but it was do we keep this younger, slightly less experienced backup catcher who would not need any kind of significant money and just keep him, or do we sign Garver again and actually sign him to I think is it $1 million deal, something that's real money? Is it maybe even $3 million or something?
He's making real money to be there.
He's making real money, and it didn't. And everybody that I was listening to was well, don't sign Mitch Garver for real money. Don't waste your money on that. Keep this other guy.
He's very bad.
I didn't know about him pitching himself, as it were, to the team, though.
The story that I read somewhere was that he literally called them up. I don't know if you called Dipoto or Dan Wilson, but he basically said hey, do you guys want me to come to camp? And then they said, yeah, why not? Or something. It came about in such a way that felt absolutely not striving for excellence on your team, but striving for mediocrity and kind of like, yeah, well, Mitch we like him in the clubhouse, and it's like, and he's a good dude, and so why not have him around if we're going to have somebody around? But it's like he didn't do anything last season to predict having a good season at the plate this year, and he is in fact having a miserable season at the plate. And now he's essentially our backup. He's our main catcher with this guy Johnny Pareda, who hopefully will outperform. But he's freshly up from the minors. What makes me so mad is that that baseball is a long season, and that there are going to be injuries, and you have to construct a team where the drop off from the starters, or at least what you expect from the starters, and the backups is not as cataclysmic as this is. We are putting a team on the field right now that is not ready to play Major League Baseball.
Oh, it was Knizer, by the way. I don't know if you pronounce the K or silent, but it was Andrew
I don't
Knizer.
think I didn't even know about this guy.
I'm looking at this article. I mean, it doesn't even matter, but this was an article from spring training back in March. Shannon Dreyer, Mariners go with Garver as backup catcher. So they gave him the deal and actually put some money behind it, as opposed to Andrew Knizer, who I think I don't know if he's down in the minors or whatever, but at least that's the person I was looking for. Anyway, I guess the one other thing with the catcher position, though, is you do have to think about, to a degree, like, there are things that I am not seeing, at least at my level of fandom or spectatordom, that there's a lot that goes into the relationship between the pitchers and the catchers and who's catching that day. And so, I like to assume that that's how he won the job, because he has a veteran presence. I mean, he's got as I said, he's got a hairline I can relate to. He's got the hairline of a veteran presence. So I like to think that maybe he got the job because...
And the wet eyes of a guy who is hitting 120 for the last 2 seasons combined.
Yeah, and
the wet apologetic eyes.
And I do think that he's like a very lovable guy that the team likes. So anyway, I'm not exactly sure. I didn't know that he was like kind of trying to sell himself, though, to the team.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't even think he was trying to sell himself that hard. This is what I'm saying. Like, I think it was an afterthought for him. I think he was. I mean, again, I'm going back to some sort of mythical article that I may have read or may have imagined in a fever dream. But the sense I had was like, it wasn't even like Garver was out. Like, Garver seems like he was pretty cool with being retired, was the sense I got from the piece. He wasn't out talking to other teams, or he didn't get any calls from other teams. Like, he was just kind of like, well, I had a good run. And then somehow is now like a linchpin in our lineup. But here's what I'll say, Zach, to bring it back to our buddy Zach and his very triggering question about baseball. I am in a dark place right now with this team, as are all Mariner fans on this Monday, May the 18th. The thing that I know is that life comes at you fast, and things change a lot over the course of, let's say, a month or two. So I very much hope that when we are talking about this on June 18th, a month from now, and maybe that's too soon because of the injuries, but like, I'm just hoping that I'm holding out some hope that we get a bit healthier and that things start clicking, and that nobody expected Cal Raleigh to hit 60 home runs this year, but we expect him to not have an almost historically cold start where he has 32 at-bats in a row without reaching safely, which was getting pretty close to Chris Davis territory, which was the all-time record. And coincidentally,
for baseball or for the team?
For baseball.
I don't know who Chris Davis is.
It's kind of interesting. He was a guy who he did this for the Orioles, but he was, I believe, a first baseman who had some good seasons, signed this huge contract, and then immediately became Arctic cold at the plate, to the point where people were like, does he need some sort of a psychological intervention? And so there is definitely some pressure when you have a great season, you sign a big contract. Everybody knows it's really tough to follow that up. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there is also a world in which it's now July, and the Mariners hitters are starting to hit the way they're supposed to. Rob Refsnyder is actually hitting decently against left-handed pitching the way he's supposed to. Our pitchers, our starters have been, I would say, the lone bright spot, right? Really, with a couple of exceptions, with a couple bad starts by Wu and Kirby's not great start on Sunday. But I would say the starting pitching
Castillo's been,
he's been booty, but he did just have a good outing, right?
Yeah, he did. Yes, exactly.
So maybe the starting pitching just kind of like limps us along, and then again, the thing is, Andrew, the thing that worries me is I feel like there is a kind of indescribable, energetic vibe around a team that helps them win close games, helps them, as we used to say, refuse to lose. Like the team that does the walking off, the team that finds a way in the ninth inning, and we don't have that this year. We are the team that gets walked off. We have an abysmal record in one-run games. We do not have whatever, even like imagine this, we're a lousy team, but let's say we have 5 fewer wins than we have this year, but of the wins we have, 8 of them have been amazing.
Yeah, like that chaos ball
exciting.
year. There was
yes,
I'm going to say it was like, I don't think it was a year that we went to the
Playoffs.
postseason. Yeah, I think it was maybe right as we were starting to dial it in, but Scott was still the manager, and there was just like the fan base just loved what they called chaos ball. Like weird things were happening, and wins. We were pulling out wins in weird places. Not enough wins, but at least it was like there was a reason to watch the game because you literally never knew what was going to happen, and sometimes things would just break your way and some weird error or something like that. But as I hate one of the people at the ballpark with me yesterday was Grumpy Gus himself, which is just I feel bad for people named.
By the
Gus.
way, I was going to cite him. Wait, you mean Durs?
I'm talking about Durs, who did. I mean, he's absolutely right when he texted the crew from the seat next to me that he said, not only does this team suck, but they're really boring to watch.
Yes, that's the thing. I almost feel like I could live in a world where this team is in last place in the AL West, but my God, do they do some exciting things from time to time. They're somehow mediocre and also boring at it, and it's just like that's what I'm having a hard time with. Having a hard time figuring out what the identity of the team is. This is also the problem with when I guess one of your ostensible team leaders is Cal Raleigh, who is just a personality black hole. Like, you know what I mean? He's just like, Julio's got a lot of personality, which is a good thing. I guess Randy does too, but it's just like, I don't
Randy
know.
Randy was cute. We were out in, sorry to interrupt, we were out in left field yesterday, very close to Randy. And, Randy likes playing baseball. I know he does, but he loves throwing baseballs to people in the crowd. Like that's
what he got into it for.
That's why he got into the game, and I love that about him so much. He's like, why not? I'm a Major League Baseball player. Why wouldn't I give the fans every single ball that comes my way? Like I love that about him. He's a man
More
of the people.
players need to follow that, as far as I'm concerned.
But what I liked was there was some kid who was sitting a few rows right in front of us, and again, we're very close to the wall. We're actually sitting right behind the foul pole, the third baseline foul pole, and the kid keeps on holding the ball up at this one moment, like he's going to throw it to Randy, which you're not allowed to throw things on the field. The kid might have gotten in trouble, but
to get it signed.
The kid, maybe? I don't even know, but Randy's just out there. It's kind of in between action, and Randy's just kind of standing there, and Randy's looking at the kid, and he's kind of like nodding, like do it. And then at one point, Randy flashes his glove. He like holds it up, like throw the ball, but the kid didn't have the gumption to do it, and he put the ball back down, and we're all like, kiddo, there was your moment. Although again, I don't know what would happen if you'd throw something onto but I love that Randy like flashed his glove to the kid. It's like, yeah, do it, throw me the ball. He probably would have tossed it right back.
Maybe we have to, Andrew, reach a sort of maybe hopefully this weekend was it, a kind of a nadir point, kind of like we have to get we have to reach a point of just almost like just sort of, I don't know, being inconsolable to then, or almost like giving up on the high hopes of like, hey, this team is World Series bound or something. I mean, and it's obviously statistically too early to do that, but there would almost be something that would be like a sweet relief if it was just like, okay, this team actually kind of sucks. Like they just actually kind of can't hit, and their bullpen is garbage. And let's just, let's just watch it with that. Let's just take any win as just kind of a bonus, and let's just see if what if Pareda just like goes, just goes off, or what if like what's the Cole Emerson? No, what's the new kid?
Yeah,
Colt
Emerson.
Colt Emerson.
That was kind of. I was very excited to see his debut yesterday. Although I do understand the concerns of just like, well, seems weird to bring this kid up before he's fully ready, just because our major league team sucks. Like he's one of the hottest prospects.
I don't know. He already
did.
I read his stat line. He already did better than a Mitch Garver would or Connor Joe would, in that he lined out his first at bat. So let's give him credit for making contact in the field of play.
He still doesn't have a hit, right? Like I think
nobody got a walk his second AB.
And he
scored a run.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like 20 years old. He woke up in Tacoma as a Rainier, played in the game, went down 0-2, worked the count to 2-2, and then lined out to right sharply, I was told by Ryan Divish, and then worked a walk his second time up, scored a run. This is all better than I've seen from Connor Joe or Rob Refschneider so far this season.
Patience there.
But so maybe it's like it's kind of fun to watch him. Maybe he just lights the league up for a while, and then maybe Pereira plays well, and just like almost just like rethink what my expectations are, or where my joy is in this team. My joy, I thought, was going to be from dominant win after dominant win, where we build this lead in the AL West, and we just like we show ourselves to be one of the strongest teams in the American League. And that's certainly not happening. Maybe I can find a different way to feel joyful about this team's performances on the field.
Yeah, well, there are, the bright spots. I don't even think, unless you just did, and then my mind was wandering, Cole Young has just, been so good, so good. And if Emerson kind of develops into that kind of player, the player that we hope that he will be, because, again, the expectations on that kid are super, super high. And as long as we don't break him by putting too much pressure on him early, he's batting last in the orders, and I think that's smart. So it would be really cool to see, even if I'm not trying to give up on the season in May. We are in a terrible division, which still should be ours to win. But even if we do miss the berth, but we have, if Emerson and Cole Young are these really, really incredibly young kids, can Emerson drink yet? I don't know that.
Here's what I'm saying.
I don't think Cole Emerson can even drink yet. If they're
these guys we need some name changes on these teams. I'm assigning
the
everyone
Emersons
new
and the
names.
Coles and the Colts.
It's what the hell, dude? It's like a real Kirsten situation. We got a Cole Young, a Colt Emerson, and an Emerson Hancock.
And an Emerson Hancock. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And they're all skinny white dudes of about 21. It's like, give me a little help here, people.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, did we give? And it was a dazzling donor message. Luke and I did not want to do that. We were just serving our P1 today.
And Zach, if you wanna, I'm just saying, if you want to donate a little extra because of how hard we went on your recommendation of talking baseball, would accept. Zach says, I've been a diehard about as long as, let's see. Yep, we've talked about the Astros making us insufferably overconfident. I've been a diehard about as long as Luke has, and this year has me getting way too excited too soon. Anyway, this is all pretext to have my favorite co-bros talk about my favorite baseball team.
Well,
keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, mission accomplished. Heck of a job, Brownie. It's truly a highlight of each and every day to listen to you, and it's a joy to support my favorite business boys. P.S. Any occasion is a great occasion to play the Saxondale drop about flatulence.
Yes.
Can you close out my message with that? Are you able to find that based on those search parameters?
Yes,
Andrew?
this is my fault. I should have had it ready, but I do have it here now. And let me move it on over into the player.
I actually often quote this, but I misquote it. But I often try to repeat what he is saying in Saxondale when he's, I believe, in anger management. He has to go to an anger management class.
Wow, this goes back so far. I see that. First of all, I can tell that this is tape that you grabbed from the internet because
because it's bad.
Well, no, because the way it's labeled, when I drag it in, I can see the metadata or whatever, and it has your name as the artist, Luke Burbank. So you must have grabbed it in. And I see that we were using this back on intro number 143. We are now on intro 1043 or something like that.
Whoa.
So this goes back to a long time when we started making these intros again. Take a listen to this.
Anger is like flatulence, isn't it? Insofar as it's far better to let it out in increments than to let go with one humongous rattle.
Well, yes, yeah. In as much as losing your temper is about transferring that anger to those closest to you.
Well, you're farting in the face of the person you love, aren't you? If you ask the police, they will tell you that most murders are committed by a friend or relative of the victim. They take place at home, in the office, on public transport, in a jacuzzi.
Are we still talking about murder?
I hold my hands up. The last three examples were specifically farting.
And you know what, good. Andrew? There's much wisdom there because I'm letting out my Mariners angle a bit at a time instead of one tremendous rattle.
I don't
Because
think
if I
that
let
it
it
is
out-
true for flatulence, though. I do think that flatulence, you just need to find a private place and let it
Well,
out.
that's
in one
that's an
tremendous
added
rattle.
dimension to
Yeah.
this conversation. I believe the assumption here is that you can't find a private place.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
In public, what is the least offensive way to deal with it? I'm just letting out a little bit of my Mariner frustration bit by bit at Zach's behest. So thank you, Zach. Appreciate you so much. Maestro.
On your mark. Get set.
Dang it, Andrew.
Yeah.
That was a big mouth breath.
Oh,
It should have been a
do it
nose
through the
breath.
nose. Do it through the nose.
Golly.
Now, read this
Okay.
dazzling donor message
Yes.
through your nose.
It's our friend Farron Shear, Andrew,
Hey.
down there in beautiful San Diego, California. Farron
Hey.
says, my last name should remind you of my job. If you do it right, smiley face. Well, of course, Farron, who could remember or who could forget?
And I don't know, does Farron like baseball? You know, seeing Farron's name here takes a little of the sting about losing to the San Diego Padres this week if it brought her, our friend and dazzling donor, joy.
That's always helpful for us, Andrew, to remember that a Mariners or a Seahawks or a whomever, whatever team we're obsessing over's loss to another city might be some joy being created for a 10 who's in that city. So that does actually make it sting a little bit less. Farron, who is a noted hairstylist and hairdresser, says, this year I'd like to promote the idea of joining your local women's club. Maybe this isn't for everyone, but I wanted to share a little history about why it's important to me after spending 11 years on the board of the Ocean Beach Women's Club, 5.5 years as the president and now the historian. Women's clubs can be described as part of a social movement established in the 1800s throughout the U.S. in response to the rapid industrialization that followed. Club women considered if problems such as poverty, poor health, violence, greed, racism, and class warfare may be best addressed by better education, a safer environment, a more efficient workplace, and honest government. Women's clubs have always been agents of change. Members defied the convention that a woman's place is in the home by uniting to sharpen their ideas, voice opinions, and engage in reform of the world outside their households. They established the idea that women had a moral duty and responsibility to transform public policy. The suffrage movement, local libraries, public parks, settlement houses, and the Montgomery bus boycott all have directly been shaped by women's clubs. Even if joining one is not for you, learning about them is super cool, and I hope a little bit empowering no matter who you are. The thing I would say to Farron is, that's all well and good when we're going through major industrialization shifts, but what about the world is changing rapidly now? What
I feel
about
like
the
we're
nature
just
of
in a
work
stasis, yeah.
and everything is perfect and will be going forward, and there's absolutely no factors the like of which Farron is citing that could destabilize everyone's lives.
Right. I mean, what's left to fight for? Obviously, we're being sarcastic. I was completely unfamiliar with this sort of historical look at women's clubs, and I know very little about them, and I'm sort of Googling around right now looking at, like, just for example, I know that Farron's in San Diego, but I'm in Seattle, and I'm just looking at, like, the Women's University Club here in Seattle, and it says it's a women-focused connection based on a desire for lifelong learning. It says, we laugh, we learn, we lead. This is cool stuff.
Absolutely, and I'm looking here at the Ocean Beach Women's Club that Farron is so closely associated with. And I want to say, I'm not saying, like, maybe someone wants to become part of the club because it appears that they're literally on the beach, but it's not a bad place to have your get-togethers.
Yeah.
This looks, and again, this is kind of San Diego specific. Also, maybe they just go to the beach a lot. I don't know. This seems like a very beach-focused activity while bettering the lives of people. And I'm just saying, we can better the lives of people and enjoy the natural breezes of San Diego all at the same time, or wherever you might be. So yeah, check out the women's club in your area if that sounds interesting to you. And Farron, thank you so much as always for your support. You're absolutely the best.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
Andrew, our top story today is I was right again.
Oh, great.
Once again, your boy, LB, was 100% right and should have trusted myself, and I didn't. And that's when I go wrong, Andrew, when I breathe through my mouth and when I don't trust how unbelievably right I am about most things in this world. I, as you know, work for the Columbia Broadcast System if we're still calling it that, doing TV stories for CBS Sunday Morning. And as has been noted frequently in the news, there have been a lot of corporate changes there with the company that I worked for, Paramount, being acquired by a company called Skydance. And Skydance is run by a guy named David Ellison, and his dad is a guy named Larry Ellison. And along with being pretty close with the current president and that administration, Larry Ellison is the guy who is sort of like famous for starting the company Oracle. And Oracle does a lot of different things, and one of them, apparently what they do, Andrew, is they make software that you can use, and that I now have to use to
that
file
you have
my
the
expense
honor
report.
to use.
That I have the distinct honor. Thank you. That's been coming up a lot today.
Uh-huh.
It would be my holy honor to learn an entirely new system for trying to input my travel receipts from when I'm traveling around doing stories for CBS. Basically happens, I have a credit card from CBS. I use it to pay for things like airplane tickets and Uber rides and hotels and things like that. And then I have to reconcile that in the system. And if I don't do it on time, they threaten to, and sometimes actually do, turn off my credit card, which is a big problem because I don't have the money to pay for this stuff on my own and get reimbursed. And so I have been kind of whistling past a certain graveyard of late, which is like not filing. We switched over to this new system, and I haven't been filing my expense reports. I haven't been keeping up on it because everybody I've been talking to on these shoots has been saying this Fusion thing is crazy. It's totally impossible to use. We don't have any budget codes assigned to it, so we kind of can't even really use it. So I've been getting exactly the wrong kind of feedback for me, which is, yeah, nobody's filing their expenses right now because it's in flux and because the system is weird, which is for me a big old sort of, what would you call it?
Invitation.
An invitation to lean into my normal flakiness, sort of ADHD, not wanting to do stuff that isn't fun for me.
Yeah.
I actually had kind of learned how to do the old system, and I was pretty good at it. I was, pretty efficient. It would take me an afternoon, but I could sit down and I could really bang through some expense reports. Now we've got a whole new system that everyone says is confusing and that is, again, no one's apparently filing their stuff. So I thought, I've been thinking for a while, well, that means that if no one's filing their stuff, I don't have to file my stuff. Well, I got a note on Friday, an email note saying, we're going to turn your credit card off, buddy.
That is how we get your attention, I would say.
Yeah. I'm a kind of a real, a court of last resort kind of guy. I'm
Right.
And so what I also knew was that I'd gotten an email that said, hey, it's time for your Fusion training. And normally that would be something that I would be dreading, but in this case, I was like, I literally don't know how to use. I've been in the software, I logged into the software. I tried to do a report, and it was hopeless. And so, I was not able to instinctively or intuitively figure out how to do it. So I was actually kind of I don't know if looking forward to is the right idea, or the right way to describe it, but I very much wanted to be on this Zoom call today because I was like, if I don't learn how to do this, they're going to turn the card off, and then I'm going to be really screwed. And so I messaged you or talked to you on Friday about this. I was like, I got this thing on Monday. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I was up at 6 this morning. I was emailing New York because I still hadn't gotten my confirmation. I was bugging people. I was in here, Andrew, at 9:45 with not one but two computers open.
This is
I had
crazy.
The computer that I'm using to talk to you was open for the Zoom call. My other computer was open. I had opened up Fusion.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
Dude, I was, because this is,
Are you oiled up?
Well, that's just a typical Monday, but
Okay,
yes, maybe a little extra.
Sure.
This is an existential threat for me, Andrew, because if they turn the credit card off, I can't go on any stories. And so I'm I've got Fusion open on one laptop, an actual, in my account, so I can try to mirror what they're going to do in the training session. Training session starts, and it is right out of central casting. They almost should have said, what is a cyber threat and how can you avoid it? It was a guy from Accenture whose computer camera appeared to, he had set it on just below the chin, looking, if we
straight
can,
up.
directly up the nostrils. He's just reading
are you seeing
a script.
A ceiling? Like,
I'm not
is the
quite
shot
seeing
like,
a ceiling, but it is
Okay.
a very. It's a kind of one of those it's one of those shots that I feel like we all figured out how to not do that at like third week of COVID.
Yeah.
Not this guy from Accenture. And he's just reading a script about how expense reports work. We're not talking about like, hey, how do I itemize the hotel room over a multi-night stay when the cost of the room varies between night. This is the kind of granular information that I need, Andrew. He is reading a script about what an expense report is. And it literally starts with like, you have a Paramount credit card.
Webster's defines expense report.
It's basically that. It's like, you have a credit card. You charge approved items and approved events on the card. You then submit the card for reimbursement. It's literally just an explanation of how the concept of a corporate card works.
Yeah.
That was 20 minutes of the thing.
God.
I just felt my soul just not so slowly leaving my body, because I was there for real information and I was like ready to do this. I was taking it very seriously, which I don't do most of the time.
But did it ever come around to like, okay, now when you log in, you're going to see this screen and you're going to need to click over here onto this tab, and that will get you into the new field where you fill out a new expense report. I mean, does it ever get there?
About 25 minutes in, they switch over to another person who's supposed to be doing the demonstration of that exact thing.
Okay.
Like, it starts here and it goes there, and then you click on this button. That's what it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, let me mention, Andrew, I am furiously screenshotting every single screen that comes up to just in case I need to refer back to this later. Like, where do you move that to, and what's the budget code? Like, I'm as locked in on this as I've ever been on something like this. Like, I am taking it very seriously. And we get to the part, I'm like, okay, well, now this is the good stuff. This is going to be a tutorial of how do we do this. And they go, please direct all questions to the Q&A function on the side. So there's a chat, going as a Q&A. The problem is the person who is doing the demonstration is not the person who is answering the Q&A questions. And the person who's doing the demonstration, first of all, here's what she starts with: how to delegate. The very beginning is is the way that you can, in the system, make your assistant do your travel expenses. Well, guess who doesn't have an assistant? LB. Like, the last thing that I need to know is how to delegate. There is no, but I cannot delegate unless I could delegate this to Bubbles. I cannot delegate this work to anyone else. So the fact that the very first thing she spends 10 minutes on explaining how you delegate stuff, I'm already like, this is not helpful to me. Then she's just going through the screens, but it's so like, it's going so quickly. And because this is a person who is a professional at this, it's so second nature to her that I'm over here. I'm on, like, I got one hand, I'm watching her do the demonstration. I'm trying to reenact it over on my computer. And I'm like I'm creating these like expense reports, like test. And I'm grabbing a hotel folio and I'm dragging it into the thing. And I'm trying to play along with her. I'm trying to score at home, but it's just going so fast. And she's not encountering any of the issues that I'm encountering.
You got a hand on, you like a one hand on each keyboard, like Herbie Hancock. You're just like, you're Hancocking it. Hey, another Hancock reference.
That's right.
I didn't even realize
Emerson.
I didn't realize I was doing that until I heard Hancock twice.
But I was in a non-Hancockian fashion. I was having trouble rocking it, Andrew. So I'm just like, it was that middle part, which I was waiting for, which was I just needed them to say, you have an expense from Uber. It's over here in expenses. You want to put it into this expense report. Here's how you move it to the expense report. You then get the receipt from the Uber app. You then put that on your desktop. You then drag that here. You then, like, that wasn't really what was happening. It was this person working very quickly through a series of things that were unrelated to what I needed to learn about. I got a couple of email addresses that I emailed to myself that might help me, which was other people who work for this part of the org. Because again, I don't know how many employees are in this company, Andrew. I mean, fewer every day. Let's just say it,
I was
but-
going to say.
Well, like it's like more every day and then fewer every day. It's like every time we acquire or get acquired, it like doubles, and then it's like 1,000 fewer from its high water mark. It's kind of going up and down that way. But like it's such a massive entity that like there is, I mean, there must be hundreds of people that are in the department that handles this kind of stuff. And so what I was able to do, and this might be the I guess the ultimate benefit of this in my life, is I was able to figure out a couple of helpful people whose names I saw that they were either handling Q&A stuff or they had jumped on to answer some questions. And I was like, okay, you seem helpful. You seem like an ally.
Yeah.
And I like got those email addresses and I emailed them to myself. And I'm like, okay, what I've got now is not any more information about how to do this thing, but I got some people that might be able to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to breathe through my nose. And I'm going to try to reach out to some of these people and see if I can get kind of walked through how to do this with a personal touch. Because all I really need is one person to sit down for like 45 minutes with me, which is not nothing, and just explain the very basic steps of this. And then I'll probably be able to do it from there. But what I learned was that this online training was as unhelpful as I assume all online trainings are.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
So
to
I
hear
was
that.
right. And that feels good.
And that's the important thing.
And that's the takeaway.
I will say sometimes I say this, I'm not saying this to hurt your feelings here, but sometimes we're having conversations about, computer related things. I'm kind of like, well, I do this thing all the time. I know it's not as complicated as you're making it sound. I will say 1,000,000,000%, which is a lot. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know your times tables, but 1,000,000%. You are right that these even Concur, which is like the industry standard, I think, that a lot of people probably use like literally every single day of their lives and don't have a lot of issues
which we
with it.
were using.
And which you were using. Like it's not intuitive. Even that is not intuitive. And when you talk about these issues of the hotel stays, which are so... It's a combination of the very complex way hotels insist upon like itemizing all the various taxes and slightly changing the rate each night that you stay there because a Wednesday is going to be different than the Friday that you're checking out. And so the tax line on each one is different. It's like, and then inputting all of that into the system. I remember Concur wouldn't let you somehow it would never add up properly or to the way that system found it like satisfying, if you recall, and so like it really is.
You learn all these little ways to trick the system into letting you just do the thing,
and it's such a perfect example of. God, and in some ways it feels like the world is less like this, that apps have changed the way, like apps are trying to meet people where they are more often than not now, but there are still these types of systems that are made by people who are just too in the weeds on the engineering side of things and the numbers side of things, and so they don't understand the UI side of things very well, and it's the machine training you how to be instead of you training the machine how to be, and that's just a really, really for me. That's always been the most frustrating sort of aspect of software, when it's kind of like, oh no, and especially when the people who have bought the software at the company you work for are defending it or own it or daddy owns it or whatever it is, and just like trying to tell you no, you're talking down to you, like how can you not? No, of course you have to put the county tax in here, like DOI, and you're just kind of like, oh, come on, man. Like, this is not intuitive, and this is not how the human brain works.
Well, I had let the machine train me on Concur.
Yeah.
And I was happy for it. I had balled up a bunch of mouth tape and put it in my mouth and gotten in the box.
Sure, yeah.
In the basement.
Nice, love this.
Some boxes, some deliveries, some stamps, some envelopes.
Hey,
That's
Lloyd.
not how that goes.
Yeah.
One day I'll get that right. And I was happy as a clam because I knew how to do it, because I could figure out. It's so weird. It's like these systems, and boy, is this ever in the weeds. But one of the number one things that seems to blow these systems up is if you get a refund. That is uniquely troubling to the system. Like, so if they overcharge you and then they refund it, or if somehow it's like, it's all designed for like money going out.
Yeah.
It has no way of figuring out money sometimes comes in.
And it should want that. It should want money.
That's always like some of the, like, in fact, I have one of the things about them turning off my card is because of something where it was a refund from a hotel where they had charged me the wrong amount, and they refunded me this money, my card, CBS's card, which is a good thing. But that's the hardest thing to convince the computer has happened is like, hey, or the software, hey, guess what? They gave us back some money. That money goes right back into Skydance. We can just do one more stunt with Tom Cruise in a Skydance film, thankfully, because of this refund.
That's one more Whiskey Friday, buddy. That's one more Whiskey Friday.
It's the hardest. You know what? Johnny Walker Blue. You've been doing Johnny Walker Red on Whiskey Friday. Treat yourself to Copel. Have a Johnny Walker Blue. It's like little things like that, which then I had over time figured out how to trick the machine into accepting the fact that it's getting money back. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. And then we shift. And then I go to and then I zoom in, and I'm being such a Tracy Flick, man. I'm being so much more type A than I normally am. I'm working the dual computer system because I really want this to work. And it goes about exactly how I expected it to go. So again, I was right, and I am smart, and that's good enough for me on a Monday.
That's good. Glad that's your takeaway. I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to hurt me in the long run, and I'm not exactly sure yet how.
I did consider delegating you as my. No, I really did wonder, could I teach Claude to do this?
Oh, yeah, that's another thing too. Again. I don't even need to say it. You know what I'm going to say? It's like, oh, hey, guess what? We can make realistic paintings now with AI.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you know what? No, people enjoy painting. We make the paintings. How about you use that stupid AI to fill out the expense report, you dingus? Not to do fun things like take away work from musicians.
Yeah. I honestly, I was like, and this is the crazy thing. Yeah, the AI is very good now, or very effective at doing a painting or making a song or whatever. But this is one of those things where it's actually way beyond the AI's ability because there's too many different systems that have to mesh. So I can't say to it, hey, could you figure out how to do Fusion? Could you go find all these receipts of mine and then input them into these different files in Fusion and then give this expense report a name, and then it's asking too much of this system.
It says,
but it can paint the Mona Lisa.
Would you? I can make Donald Trump look like the Maharishi if you'd like. I don't know. Is that helpful
that was
for
a
you?
doctor, Andrew, not Jesus. He was being a doctor who heals people and has long wavy hair.
That's right.
Okay,
and people praying around him.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We're going to be back here tomorrow with more Imaginary Radio. I'll be right back in Los Angeles, so I'm sure I'll have more updates on the billboards of Hollywood. So tune in for that. In the meantime, have a great Monday. Go Mariners, okay? Hope springs eternal. And please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.